So, about KCD 2.
God, sort out this rubble before they turn everything into firewood!
Kiss our asses!
Is this retribution for my sins? Looks like it ain't.
This is probably one of the best open world immersive simulators you can play. Now there's a story component to it, and it's really good also, but I want to talk about that in a separate video where we talk about the story and the real life elements that are also in the game. Right now I just want to talk about the immersive part of the game, because this game is probably one of the most immersive sims you can play. In terms of just like how many mini games you could do for everything, how you could really just like feel like you're in this 15th century world. And while I'll cover side stuff and side missions in like a separate video, that'll also go with covering the main story and stuff. There's a couple side missions I want to cover here that will get us both Pebbles and Mutt. Okay, so first we want to get our horse Pebbles. So for that, we just go to Old Semaine. Now, I got there just by doing the main quest and going down there to look for those two blacksmiths that the head blacksmith is looking for. And so you just go down there, and then they tell you there's a horse in the stable that you can borrow, but you just find out it's your horse anyway. So you just go down there, and then you talk to the guy, and then I think the one you're supposed to do is the be reasonable one, but a lot of people do it in many different ways. Like, you can steal them, but then I think you have to get them registered at that place at the Nomad Camp, which I guess isn't that far away. But you can also just buy them, I guess, if you have the cash for it in the early game. But even if you're kind of doing a hardcore playthrough, you're probably just going to go get them. And then just go to the Nomad Camp, which is probably like the quickest way to get them. And then we can go and then look for Mutt. So we have a couple of locations we can check. Most notably, we want to go to this farmer's location who has the sheep named Ignatius. Now, you could do this, but I think I had glitched the game and none of the wolves showed up and Ignatius was just dead. So I was like, okay, was that supposed to happen? And then I looked it up, and actually I saw that, like, literally you just talked to the gamekeeper, and I was like, I literally just saw that guy, like literally an hour ago. So I literally sped back, didn't have to kill Ignatius, that was good. And then just found the location where Mutt is. And then obviously near the Mutt quest is the Hungarian Cuban side quest, but we'll talk about that later. So we find Mutt, we find some moles, and then we get a cool sword in the cave, and then we have our dog back. Taking care of your dog is pretty much the same as the first KCD, only you can like pet him now. That's pretty much the only difference. Oh, I think he also has like commands, even though I think I know. I think day one they ended up patching it out where it's like you just talk to them out the normal way and then give them the thing. But now I think they just have it as the quick access, like, here's the thing. Which I don't really like because I don't really like the press button to focus thing. Just because it's like it locks on and I don't know the button to lock off, so I always end up backing up and walking away. Or just like pressing a random button to try to make it lock off. And I'm always like, I'd prefer to just like do the press E to talk, and then just like select. It's a lot easier, but I get that we're going for more immersion on this one, so I get it. The next thing I want to dive into is combat. Hopefully I recorded a segment here earlier, I just don't know how it turned out. And I've expanded some of my thoughts on combat since then, because I've heard people say this is a very difficult game, and I think there's two things I've thought about. Is like, if you play KCD 1, the combat translates very well because you're basically using the same Henry. He's just reset at level 1, but he still has most of the experience. Which in a way, you have most of the experience from KCD 1 because they're the same game. So it's like, it wasn't really that hard for me to immediately just like start fucking people up in the game. It just took me having some decently good armor, because you want decently good armor to so that they bounce off, like, because obviously your fleshy skin is gonna get cut by the blades, so it's easier for them to get behind you and start cutting you. Where if you're wearing chainmail armor and just armor that's naturally bouncing off of your opponent's swords, obviously it's gonna bounce off, and then you're gonna turn around and hit that guy immediately because they're surrounding you. It just makes it a lot easier when you have the armor, which I always see people not really wearing, and then they're always just like, I don't understand what's going on. And they're just like, dude, you're not wearing armor. You're literally naked. Go find a guy with armor, take his armor. Get it. The weapons in this game tend to be really good. I really only use the swords, because swords are the only thing that can use Master Strike, and Master Strike is very important in this game. I think I use the club, and the club is pretty good. I never used any of the long weapons. Maybe in another playthrough I will. And then I just got the gun, and the gun's really good. It doesn't have the range you would want it to have, obviously, but it is really effective when you probably need it, which is just like to take out one guy who probably like sees you in the dark, and then you can kind of like sneak around everybody else as long as they don't hear the shot come off. It's actually pretty useful in those situations where you're just like dealing with one person. As long as they don't see you, you can probably get the shot off. But if they do, because the shot takes so long to actually get off, they will immediately just hit you. So I think they implemented the gun as well as you could in a medieval simulator. And obviously people are going to mod the shit out of it to make it like fucking shotguns and machine guns and shit like that. But for right now, it works the way you would want it to on a first playthrough. One of the ways this game works really well in terms of like the power scaling is how weak you start off in the game, and how you can instantly just get really good, because Henry's already really good at combat. Especially if you played the other game, you know how the systems work and everything, so you can pretty much just do the same thing you did in the first game.
I feel quite hungry.
And Henry's already pretty experienced, even if he has a brain injury. He's still a soldier, so he knows what he's doing. So all you gotta do is get really good armor. The real problem is when you go up against like 4 or 5 guys, they're all gonna like gang up on you, and some of them will attack from the back and start hitting you. And obviously, if you're just like Henry, like naked, they're just gonna stab you up. It's gonna be real bad. So you need some armor. One of the things I did early on when I was just walking around looking for my dog, and I saw these 2 bandits with that were pretty kitted out, and I managed to sneak up on both of them and like take the main guy's like armor, and that got me really kitted out at the beginning of the game. And stuff like that can really help you if you really know. And the game's really encouraged for like second playthroughs where you know where kind of everything is, and you kind of know the systems of the game, so you can kind of, if in a second playthrough, you can probably do a lot of this easier, and you can probably get you could probably make the game. You can probably just make the game way easier for yourself on a second, third playthrough. Similar to the first game, even though Henry doesn't suck at combat or anything like that, side questing is still a really good way to get gear, money, especially if you don't want to do a playthrough where you're just like stealing everything or killing everybody and taking their money. Just like side questing, helping people out tends to get you the money you need. And the quests always end with you killing like bandits and stuff, so you can always get groceries off of them. Or if you're just like OCD about it, just pickpocket pretty much everybody. Doing the side quest in Kingdom Come Deliverance really helps you get a grip and understanding on the world, because you're going to pretty much all the towns in the game. Especially at the start of the game, they can really help you out leveling up Henry, because doing things naturally in this game also really just helps, like, naturally fighting in the game really helps you build up your strength and your sword fighting. Doing activities like blacksmithing helps you with your crafting. Doing things like tailoring kind of helps you just be able to patch up people when you need to patch them up for story stuff or side quest stuff. It's amazing how just like doing tailoring and everything, like keeping your clothes well knit, really helps you when you need to like sew a guy up, because you need to ask him something. Like these things come in handy a lot of the time, and like unknowingly you're kind of like building up other stats and like slowly building up your character over time by just naturally doing things you would normally do in the game. It's a very intricate system in the way you do it that is just like, oh yeah, it kind of does feel like Skyrim, and like that way you would just naturally progress in the game. And Skyrim is probably like one of the closest comparisons I would personally draw to it because I've never played Oblivion, but and a lot of the time I think of like Skyrim, like a more intricate version of Skyrim every time I play Kingdom Come Deliverance 2. And just the way the story's told. Obviously the graphics are way better. And just the presentation overall. I think this is just a really highly evolved RPG. And just have learned from a lot of the mistakes a lot of RPGs tend to make. Just like going for just more cinematic quality. Like what you see with Veiled Guard. So, in conclusion, Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 is one of the best open world immersive sims you can play. And I would say if you're not playing like Monster Hunter Wilds or something on PC because it's like horribly optimized right now, and you have the $60 to spare, why not give this game a try? It might just become one of your new favorite open world games that you've played in a long time. See you guys.